Hello, everyone. Welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm going to be your host and producer this evening, Logan Landers. And today I'm going to be discussing, breaking down my top three things that need to happen in week 8 of the college football season. So if you enjoy the video here this afternoon, please give us a like, comment, share on social media. Of course, we go live on Facebook and on YouTube each and every single week. And also, if you want to go do so, check out our podcast as well. We have on all major podcast streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever it is you enjoy watching and listening to our shows. You can do so each and every single week. So, top three things coming into week 8 of this college football season. I'm going to start at number 3 on my list and work my way up to number 1. Number 3, I have wrote down here on my handy dandy notes here. Duke, will they get some respect? When I say that, we all know myself and Mr. Football Vincent Turner did a breakdown of Duke and Florida State. If you want to see our full breakdown of that, go check out our channel. But I say, will Duke get some respect? Blue Devils currently 5-1 on the season. ACC matchup has the chance to shock the world. When I say that, not just in terms of college football, but we all know with Duke, everyone, and I mean everyone, when you mention Duke University, the first sport that people think of is going to be it's not going to be football. It's going to be basketball. We know all the legends they've had there over the years, a tremendous program, but their football team, people might be sleeping on them. It's going to be a tough task, obviously, this weekend versus Florida State. Riley Leonard, we're not sure how healthy he's going to be going into that matchup. But Duke, can they shock the world? Is that something that needs to happen? If you're a Duke fan, let me know. If you're Florida State, hey, it's going to be a tough matchup. You know Duke's going to want to play spoiler. It's going to be a fun matchup nonetheless. Up next on my list here, I've got the Battle of the Unbeatens. Penn State, number 7, going up against number 3, the Ohio State this upcoming weekend. Can the Nittany Lights and their just absolutely tremendous defense continue the run that they're on, how great they've been this season against a very, very tough task team in the Ohio State Buckeyes? Up till this point in the season, Penn State only played one ranked team, and that is number 24, Iowa at the time. But they shut them out 31-0. Besides that, they've just been running roughshod over every team they faced this year, as you're supposed to do if you are a top-tier team. We all know James Franklin has that team looking great. Can they get it done against Ohio State? Once again, we did a full breakdown on that game. If you want to see more about that, Ohio State, as we've mentioned before, undefeated on the year, currently number 3 in the nation. They have run through everyone with the exception of Notre Dame. That was their closest game of the season. We talked about that a few weeks back. But we know they got Kyle McCord and, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. doing some work on offense there, and they've got a really good defense, too, at the Ohio State. So, in the Battle of the Unbeatens, who's walking away with the win? Is it going to be Penn State or Ohio State? And finally, my number 1 thing in college football that I'm looking forward to this weekend, Caleb Williams. When I say Caleb Williams, will he have a bounce-back game? Because up until last week against Notre Dame, he was, I would probably say, in a lot of people's minds, the runaway favorite for the Heisman Trophy this upcoming season. But now, week 7 had a rough go at it. Week 8, I think it's pretty much just blown wide open. There's no telling who is in that number 1 spot. There's a lot of guys who are maybe in that 2 through 5 category before last week, who are now coming into this week saying, hey, if I have a great game, I could maybe get up there. Could it be like a Michael Penix? Could it be a Kyle McCord? Could it be a Joe Milton? I mean, there's a lot of guys out there who could make a big step this week. But the reason I have Caleb Williams needing to have a bounce-back game, because last week against Notre Dame, it was an ugly loss that the USC Trojans had, 48-20. And while I do understand, and I obviously do acknowledge that the USC Trojan defense did not show up that game, neither did their Heisman-winning quarterback from last season, who had been talking smack about Notre Dame before. Let's not forget that now. 23 of 37 on the day for him, just 1 yard shy of 200, which for him is pedestrian numbers. Only a 5.4 average just 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. So, all in all, Caleb Williams, not a great performance as a team from USC, but from someone who is a game changer, someone who has put up monster numbers up until that point. And when I say that, he has done just a tremendous job. If you look at his stats on the year, he does have 2,021 yardage. He's got a 70% completion percentage, throws for about 10 yards average, 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He is still having a great year. I'm not denying that. But I need to see him have a bounce back game because that's what all the greats do in college football. And that's what all the greats do in football in general. If you have a bad week, we really get to see your true test of character the week after or in a big game. And for here with Caleb Williams, it's going to be a big game. They've got a tough matchup. It's going to be a fun game, though. And I'm excited to see what Caleb Williams and what the USC Trojans are going to do this upcoming weekend against a very game Utah Utes team, currently ranked number 14 in the nation. So that is my list here. Once again, to break it down for you. Number 3, I've got, will Duke get some respect this weekend? Will they shock the world and pull off the upset against Florida State and the Seminoles? I've got the Battle of the Unbeatens at number 2. Who's going to come out on top? Is it going to be Ohio State? Is it going to be Penn State? Who is going to be the real true dog there? And number 1, as I just mentioned, will Caleb Williams have a bounce back week? Those are things I'm looking forward to in week 8 of college football. But I want to hear what your top 3 things, top 5, top 10 are in our comments. Once again, on Facebook and on YouTube. Go live each and every single week. And our podcast, you can even comment over there. Leave us a review as well on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you enjoy listening to podcasts. Once again, I've been your host and producer this evening, Logan Landers. Thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you again